Hey guys, this is Aaron with another video for you today from Repair Parts USA. Today I'm going to be showing you how to fix the screen on an iPhone 8 Plus. So let's get into it. Very first thing you want to do, as with any proper repair, is to shut the phone down completely. You just want to hold that power button on the side. You get this notification. It says slide to power off. So we're going to do that, and the phone is shut down completely. Next, we are going to remove these two bottom pentalobe screws by the charging port. Those two screws are out. Next thing we want to do is we're going to remove this LCD from the body of the phone. How I like to do this is with the suction cups tool. There's two suction cups, one on each end. Set it right here towards the corner of the phone. And so one on the back, one on the front, and that gives me some leverage to pry with. I'm just going to push down on the end of this, and then with my other hand, that's free, I'm going to pry underneath here. I'll move this down just a touch. You want to get the pressure in the corner, so as I'm going like this, I can see the phone LCD moving up and down. So there it's getting a little loose, and we don't need much, just enough. This guy's in there good. Alrighty. There is a adhesive around the edge of the phone, which is why I do suction cups. Some people like to apply heat to the phone using a heat gun, hair dryer, whatever. Kind of loosens up the adhesive. I usually don't do that, but that's just me. Okay, so got my pry tool under there. I'm just going to work around the edges. Just pry up as I go. Just want to be careful. You want to be gentle with it. Don't pry up too hard. You don't want to go in too deep with your pry tool. You can damage some internal components on your phone. Especially on this right side, there's thin ribbon cables under here. You want to make sure you're staying very shallow. You just need this if you see, I'm just getting the very corner of my pry tool in there. You don't need much. And there we go. Most of this is off. You pry up nicely. pull this off like so. Next thing you want to do is going to remove this metal bracket right here. There's just 4 screws around here that you want to take off. And then we're going to remove this metal bracket like so. And there we go. Usually this right here is connected to this. I'll zoom in a bit for you. Like I was saying, this is usually connected to this when I was prying up on the screen. Got a bit impatient, pried up too hard, and then this ripped. So, I mean, it's best practice to avoid that. However, it's not a huge deal because we are replacing the screen. So we're just going to throw these away anyway. But again, I want to be careful. Like I was saying, they tear super easy. You want to be careful. Next, we're going to disconnect the battery, like so. It's this connector right there. Push that to the side so you can see. You want to make sure you're using a plastic tool or anything that's not metal, because that can cause a short in your board. So then we're going to remove these 2 connectors right here. They are usually connected to the old LCD, or the LCD we're replacing, but right now they're not. Next, we're going to remove the connector for this front camera. It's connecting that to the motherboard. So there we go. Just that one bottom connector. Not come from behind, pry up on it. And there she goes. Old screw fell back there, so I'm just getting that out so we can save that for later. And there's a lot of adhesive. Kind of gets messy to work with. But anyways, I'm going to set this phone to the side. And we're going to move on over. Yeah, not the biggest fan of the glue. We're going to move over to the LCD screen. Now we're going to remove these screws. There is 5 of them. Sorry, you can't really see, but there's not too much going on. I'm just removing the screws around this camera and everything else. Come on. Alrighty, doesn't want to come out. Cool. So again, this can get a bit meticulous taking these screws off, but just make sure you're being careful and that you are keeping your screws organized and you know where everything goes, because That is super important. They need to go back exactly where you got them from. So we're going to take this box out. Just pops right off. Comes off, you didn't break anything. It's supposed to do that. That's just a speaker. Set that to the side. This next part is the best part. In my opinion, we are going to take this front camera and the rest of the display off. So, and my phone keeps sticking that stupid adhesive. What I like to do is get my pry tool. I'll move this light closer. Hopefully that'll help. I put my pry tool back behind here. And I put a lot of pressure down. Now, down, and then I kind of wedge my way up. Reason being, there's a sticker underneath here that is stuck to the plastic of the plastic of the LCD, and it is very hard to get up. But you can have problems with your front speaker and such if you don't get it up. So, something that took me a while to learn, because sometimes I would replace the screen on an 8 Plus and then the front speaker wouldn't work, and I didn't know why. So for a long time I'd have to, whenever I do 8 Plus or screen repairs, I would have to buy a front speaker assembly for my new phone. And if you want to avoid doing that, you just want to be very careful with this. Make sure you get everything up, especially that sticker. Because for the longest time, I was having trouble with that. And then I figured it out. And now they always usually work. Again, I don't know if you can see too much of what's going on, but I'm just working my way around, just prying up. You can kind of tell it's all one piece, so if something comes off, 2 pieces, you know you broke something. And there is a lot of tiny cables. Just want to work your way around, just pry from different angles. And there we go. Comes loose in one piece. There's a lot going on right there. So, don't get frustrated if it takes a long time to get it off, because the last thing you want to do is get impatient and then break it. So that is not fun. Next, we are going to remove this home button. So these are Y-tip screws. There's 4 of them. Again, you want to keep these organized, guys. Can't stress this enough, especially for this middle home button. If you put a screw in that's too long or too short on this middle home button, it's going to give you problems. because the home button, I think it's on the 6S and up, or 6 and up, I can't remember, or sorry, 7 and up, I can't remember, but it's actually not a mechanical button. It's actually just in there, so there's actually no clicking going on. So it relies on that screw to hold it in place. And yeah, that's important. You can have problems with that. Now we're gonna slide our pry tool in between these two connections and pull that over. We're gonna slide this up, hold that with my finger right there, and then hopefully you guys can see. I'll lay this down. So that's right there. I'm gonna take my pry tool and I'm just gonna, again, I'm gonna push down into the plastic and just kind of gently pry up just a touch at a time, because this thing tears so easy and it's not, I don't know, I've seen different things out there about repairs for home buttons, and sometimes a lot of people have problems when they try to repair the home button, and for the longest time it was irreparable. But there's stuff coming out now that apparently you can repair it, but that's something you want to avoid at all costs if you can. You don't want to repair something if you don't need to. So yeah, just gently pry up, then that comes loose. I'm gonna pop the home button through that hole. There we go. Set that to the side. Next, I want to remove metal bracket around the phone. So there's screws in here. Just gonna take these off. I think there's like 3 on each side, something like that. We're going to transfer this over to our new phone. You can buy the displays with the small parts already installed. It costs a little bit more, but you don't have to mess with this stuff. So if that's something you don't want to mess with, you're willing to pay a little bit more, I would say go for it. And then right here is a Phillips head screw right at the bottom. So that's one we're going to remove. Boom, boom. And we're just going to pull this up like so. Comes off super easy, except for right there. What's going on? Oh, it's kind of taped in there. I already ripped this, like I was saying before. It's not supposed to look like this. There's supposed to be connectors popping off that end. But again, I was just planning on throwing this out anyways, so it's not a huge deal. Most of your screens, depending on how badly they're damaged, probably just gonna be thrown away anyways. So now we're gonna take our new screen that we got from Repair Parts USA, and I'm gonna put this over like so. Slide those cables through, boom, boom, and then lay it down. And there we go. Next, we're gonna just screw that metal bracket back into place. Do the Phillips head one first, because that one's different from the rest. do our Y-tips. Again, this is kind of meticulous work. Yeah, so there's not too much to explain right now. Next thing we want to do is we're going to put our home button back on. So there's a piece of plastic stuck to it. I like to remove it, set it up just above the home button, because we have to thread this home button back through. And then we keep this on so our screen doesn't get damaged during the repair, doesn't get scratched or anything like that. Oh shoot. Oh man, I accidentally covered that home button connector. I'm gonna have to remove one of those. And then just slide that out. There we go. Not a huge deal. And there we go. Okay, now we can thread our home button through. Slide that down, connect. You can hear that snap. That's how you know it's on there. Then set this metal grill over. I'll zoom this in so you guys can see better. So metal brackets over it. I'm just going to screw it back into place. There we go. Now we're going to move up to the front display and put that back on. This pointed out for you guys right here. 2 plastic pins. They're white, sticking up from the phone LCD. We're going to want to line those pins up with the holes on this thing. So set each one in the hole, and that's going to set you up for success. It's going to line you up very nicely. From there, right here and right here, each have one of these square sensors that go in them. Man, my screen is sticking to this table so much because that dumb adhesive. Lift it up a bit. this is not the easiest part by any means. Because so when I took mine out, it kind of got bent a little bit. It's not broken or anything, but it's just not lining up the best. So I'm just kind of bending it back in. There we go. There it goes. That's in good. So we're gonna fold the camera over, put this speaker back. Those 4 gold circles you see are gonna line up on the 4 gold circles on that plate we put down. I'm gonna fold that over, stick the camera in place, hold it with my finger, metal bracket goes over it, and then we're just gonna screw it back into place. And then the last one, bada bing, bada boom. There we go. Now, our new LCD is good to go. Well, it's good to be attached. So the first connector I like to do is this right here, goes there. I like to do this one first, just because it's a bit oddly curved. It is the hardest one to get in. But if you do it first, it is easier. There we go. You can hear it snap into place, usually. That's how you know you got a good connection. That one's in. And then we're going to connect these two, like so. I'm going to reconnect the battery right now, because I'm going to screw this metal bracket back into place. I like to put something behind the screen to hold it so I can have both my hands free, and I won't put any pressure on those ribbon cables. There we go, we're going to set that over it. I'm just going to rescrew those screws however you got them out. Put them back in. There we go. That one's on. Now we want to put the metal bracket over our front camera display, so slide that over it. And these ones, switching back to the Y-tip screws. Shoot. Y-tip screw dropped in there. There we go. I was using that other bit. Get it started. It has a really good magnetization on it, so it's easier to drop any screws. And there we go. The phone, it's all connected, looking good. And now we're just gonna take this over. I'm gonna slide it under. We're gonna do the front part first, slide it under, make sure those hooks grab nice, and just work our way around the edges, pushing down. Just want to make sure that it sits nicely. It's looking like I didn't push it up far enough. Didn't take my own advice. So if that happens, I'm gonna gently pry up again. Get a little loose. And then retry there. That's looking better. Maybe. Yeah, I like that. That popped in all around it pretty nice. I'm liking it. Now last step, I'm gonna put our 2 bottom pentalobe screws back in place. They're right next to the charging port, like I mentioned before. There you guys have it.